Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon, as it is Wednesday. It's hump day. You're at the middle of the week. No Razorback football this weekend as far as games go, but still plenty of things to talk about when it comes to Razorback football. We're going to have reactions to Bobby Petrino's first SEC Teleconference. We'll have some audio to play from that and get into some of those discussions. We'll have some basketball news and actually some baseball news too that we'll try to dive into. But we'll have the chats. We'll have your heavy hitters presented by HD Roofing. And, of course, get into everything and anything you all want to talk about. But, fellas, happy Wednesday. How are the vibes today?
Pretty good. I'm a little bit on edge or maybe distracted. Every possible utility truck that could be outside of my house is outside of my house, like either in the front or the back. It's like electric, it's internet, it's sewer, you name it. They're all within like a 1 block radius of my house. So I'm just kind of looking around waiting what's going to happen. So if you guys lose me, I told you in advance it was going to happen, so you can't be mad, but hopefully we make it through here. It's a little bit crazy in the neighborhood.
Yeah, hopefully we make it through. You know, we were talking right before we went live about how kind of annoying it is when people outside of the state of Arkansas try and comment on our things and tell us what we can and can't do. And, well, here, let me tell you about Arkansas. And I agree, that is very annoying, but I do want to open the show by giving a huge thank you to Dan Wolken for giving us a prime opportunity to dunk on a national reporter with a very large platform. It was like Jason Terry trying to take a charge on LeBron in the restricted area. It's like, oh, wow, you idiot. You have no idea what you're doing. It's not every day you get to just look like a smart person by talking with someone who just has no clue what they are talking about. It makes the dumbest possible argument, but I appreciate him for giving us that opportunity. Looking forward to talking ball today with all of our beautiful listeners who I'm sure are not going to do the same thing.
That's right. That's right. Because it's only positive vibes, folks. It's positive vibes only. You know, you got a coaching change. I know there's a lot of uncertainty, but here's my thing. And, you know, I know we'll talk about it. And I was telling Curtis about it before the show, too. I am trying my very best to not get too excited, not in the ways of, oh, Arkansas is going to go 7-0 and everything. But, you know, anytime that there's change, there's always excitement in your favorite team and in favorite sport. If you felt like a coach or anything was not the guy and there's a change, no matter who the next coach is, there's a level of intrigue and excitement that goes to it. And with the familiarity now, of course, of Bobby Petrino and seeing him and then, of course, hearing from him in the SEC teleconference, it kind of elevates a lot of things of like, you start trying to think, well, you know, what if, you know, what if this happens? What if this happens? What would we do if this happens? Like, and then, of course, the conversations like you brought up with Dan Wolken and some of these national guys are like, this is just stupid. There's no chance of this. There's all this. And it's like, yeah, but what if? Like, what if something crazy does happen? And that's where I'm at right now, where it could all come crumbling down and back to earth if Arkansas gets beat 63-10 to Tennessee on the road. Totally. But right now, where it stands, there's just a little level of intrigue and excitement and a new renewed energy, although it may be just a little small piece of energy.
It gives us something new or unknown to maybe believe in. This team was an unknown coming into the season, and a lot of people talk themselves into believing in it. That's kind of part of the process here. I'll tell you what I was not excited about, the prospects of watching this football team / staff as constructed play again, because it looks like they weren't very excited about it either. So you're right. Change, while it brings on the unknown, it's the season is what it is. You're in the middle of it, but there's something of a clean slate and a turning of the page and a level of newness. We know some things are going to be different in terms of what they do. It's a little bit of a mystery, and it adds to the intrigue of what we might see. No, I don't think they're going to go 7-0. I think they might have a hell of a time in Knoxville next weekend, but I'm excited to watch it because I have no idea what I'm going to see. So sign me up for that. Sign me up for the 9-week job audition. Sign me up for all the rumors for this coaching search. A little bit of excitement and some intrigue for this football program cannot be a bad thing, given what we've been dealing with for the past couple of years here.
Yeah, I think we all have our opinions on how this might play out or what this might look like. And believe it or not, the three of us really haven't even spent that much time talking about that. We haven't really said, hey, I think Arkansas is going to go 2-5 down the stretch, or I think Arkansas is going to go. We really haven't done that. Really, what we do on this show is we kind of just talk about the landscape, talk about what might happen, talk about how this is going to look like, what are the stakes. And one thing I notice, just being the baseball guy, I get this a lot where all throughout the season, I'll have comments on the bombastic that are like, well, they're just going to choke in the end. So like, why are you talking about it? You know, like, oh, well, they're not going to win a title. So like, why are you talking about it? And then at the end of the year, when they don't win a title, it's like, yeah, they didn't win the title. So like, why'd you even waste your time? Which again, just dispels everything that we do for a living. We try and talk about this thing every day. We look at this from every angle possible. We try and inform the audience the best way possible. Talk about this from the most nuanced, most legitimate. We take this very seriously, like we do. And by the way, it's not a crime to not take it seriously, but it really rubs me wrong when people will be like, well, just why are you even talking about this? I think this is going to play out a certain way, and I'm pretty adamant about it. And so if it plays out the way I think it is, you shouldn't be talking about it at all. And I just don't understand that mentality. And so I know it sounds like a broken record here, but like it comes back to the point of, look, if you think Bobby Petrino sucks and you think he has no chance of being successful at the University of Arkansas as the head coach, don't you worry at all. They're going to play 7 games. If you feel that way and you think that's how it's going to play out, he will likely go 1-6, 0-7, whatever, and we will never have to talk about it again. And then you can come back and say, see, why'd you guys talk about it so much? Because he was going to go 0-7, and that's perfectly fine. But like we're just talking about it because we're like, hey, we have a week and a half to prepare. And it's like, we'll see what this plays out. But that's what we're talking about for these next 2 weeks is what's going to happen. How will this look? Will there be any changes to what they do schematically? Will they have a different effort against Tennessee? We don't know. We just want to see how this thing plays out. And I feel like so many people with this situation are just looking at it and they're like, I don't want to see how it plays out. I don't care how it plays out. I feel the way I feel, and I'm going to feel the way I feel no matter what. And I just think that's a weird way to view the world and a weird way to view life.
Well, I mean, and I agree. It's a matter of, if you've been hurt before or if you're just over it or whatever, all it's going to take is that win against Tennessee to get so many people back on board. I'm not saying they're going to, but it's just like it's simple things like that can really maintain people's excitement and bring it back in. But here's kind of where I know we'll get to the comments from Bobby, but it's not ideal, but it is nice to know that you do have 7 games. It's not a huge sample size, but it's better than, all right, the final 2 games of the year, and then they go 1-1. You're like, okay, well, they played a bad team, and the other team was a close game. It's like, it still gives you something. But this is a 7-game stretch where it's like you'll have a pretty good idea of what this is going to be, what it could look like, what the potential would be as far as a decision on if Bobby Petrino is the guy or not. You like to have as many games as possible, but I just have a hard time believing, guys, that after this 7 games, that at the end of the year, we'll be sitting back and we'll be like, yeah, I have no idea if Bobby's the guy or not. Like, I feel like in most cases, we'll have a pretty good idea of, is this something they should do or is it something they shouldn't do? What's going to be the decision? And I guess we'll find out who the decision maker is going to be and all of that. But it's nice to at least have that amount of games and that amount of weeks to, yes, talk about it, speculate, but also just know one way or the other or feel like you have a gut instinct one way or the other after 7 games knowing that if Bobby's the guy or not.
Now, to your point, I'm not talking about the decision makers, the people who are actually going to make this hire, but for us, or from your point of view, do we all agree that if we're on the fence about it at the end of these 7 games, he's not the guy?
Right.
Like if there's any question, if you're kind of on the, I don't know, flip a coin, I'm leaning one way, one day and one way the next, the answer is no. I think he would really need to win you over definitively or win me over definitively for me to be okay with that. If there's any question whatsoever, it might just be time for some freshness, some newness. What we see is what we get, but we have been down this road before, and there is a long track record with Bobby Petrino at multiple other stops. So even in my opinion, at least, even if he balls out and these guys do a great job, is he the answer that's going to take the program to the next level for the next decade or whatever? Probably not. That's probably not how this is going to work. If it does, it would be the first time that's happened over the course of his career. And he's been doing this for a long time here. So that's something that kind of sticks in the back of my mind, is trying to not get too caught up in some of the immediacy here, because you might be able to absolutely get some short-term satisfaction out of it. We did, the last go around here. But if people were talking about putting this program in a spot to where they're competing annually with the best of the best, taking a step up, leveling up in the SEC or on the national landscape, you want to be able to do that long term. Right now, I'm not sure that that's the answer. So I'm trying to be measured with everything that I evaluate from game to game, from day to day, with everything that we hear. And I'm sure the selection committee, whoever that's going to wind up being, Hunter Yurachek, I don't know, are going to be doing the same thing. But there's a lot more that goes into this than just the 7 football games that they're going to play. even though that's what most of the fans are going to be tapped in on with what's going on.
Yeah, there's absolutely something to be said about the recency bias aspect here, because we've talked about the Les Miles situation where LSU is fully prepared to fire Les Miles. Then they beat A&M at the end of the year, and everyone puts them on their shoulders, and they're all excited, and they say, all right, you know what? We love Les Miles. Let's run it back. And then here you are in week 5 the next year, and you fire Les Miles. Clearly, the recency bias clouded their judgment to view the big picture. And so I'm with you 100%. This 7-game sample size, while it is very important, and that's kind of the argument that John and I made yesterday, it is not the only factor we have. And when you're trying to pick a head coach, you have to be thinking about everything. You can look at it through whatever lens. And when we come up with candidates, a lot of times we say, hey, I want this guy because he's got this cool offense. I want this guy because I think he can bring in the NIL. And I want this guy because he's going to ignite the fan base. And it's like, the reality is you need all of these factors to kind of come together when you're finding that perfect guy to lead your program. And so 100%, Curtis, if Bobby Petrino, if we're still having a conversation of like, well, did he do quite enough? And I know that, yeah, you're right. It's probably not that. That's probably not what you should go with. But ultimately, like, and again, I come back to the idea that these games are going to help us make the decision, because we all, as of right now, this second, we all have our view of what Bobby Petrino is as a head coaching candidate. And personally, me, I don't view him very high. Like, I don't think he's a guy that any other SEC team would hire as their coach. So I don't think Arkansas should have him high up on their list as their coach. That can certainly change. But ultimately, like, so we're in a spot now where Bobby has a chance to win over the fans, win over the boosters, win over the media, win over the university, which is ultimately what a head coach is doing at all times. Like, at all times as a head coach in college football, you're trying to win over those boosters, win over the people who have those money to make and the power to make those decisions. So I don't really have a problem with that context. You know what I mean? Like, I get not letting it be the end all be all. And certainly there's a lot that goes into that. I just think so many people are pushing back against this notion that this is somewhat of an audition for the job. And I just don't really get that. You know what I mean? Like, I think I'm okay with the premise of, hey, this guy has a chance to prove everyone wrong and kind of change our opinion. Let's see if he can do it. I'm very skeptical. I don't think he's going to do it, but I would be stupid to ignore if he goes out there and all of a sudden you have big money boosters that are like, hey, I might actually get behind Bobby. And we talked about him working the phones. That's an aspect of this. And so, we all feel how we feel. We all see it playing out a certain way. I just don't think people should be planting their flags so firmly in either direction, good or bad. If you think Bobby should be the head coach, you should not ignore it if they go 1-6 and the team quits on him here. Like, if you think that Bobby couldn't be the head coach, you should not ignore it if the entire state starts to get behind that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like as part of our Alumni Hall question of the day, presented by our friends at Alumni Hall, go to InsideArkansas.com/Alumni Hall. Use that promo code HOGSBY20 for 20% off your purchase. They got the highest in clothing, whether it's the hats, the polos, the Johnny O, the Peter Millar, anything, Southern Tide, Columbia. They have it all there at Alumni Hall, and you can shop them online at InsideArkansas.com/Alumni Hall. Have it delivered straight to your door, especially if you're going to be getting ready for prime time at the Palace this weekend or Razorback football the rest of the way. No matter what, do it with Alumni Hall. The question, guys, pretty simply put, is there anything or can there be any scenario that plays out this Razorback football season the rest of the way where you would want Bobby Petrino as the permanent head coach moving forward? It's a yes or no question, because I think there are a lot of variables like you talked about, Andrew. And like we've said, because my whole thing has been, I guess this was my argument with Dan Wolkin last night on Twitter. It's like, if you can't sit there and say, oh, he's the guy or he's not the guy. It's like, well, if you say he's not the guy and then he goes 7-0, which I'm not saying he will, but if he goes 7-0 and then you'd be like, well, you can't be the guy because back in week 6 of the bye, we decided you're not the guy. It's like, you have to use common sense here. So it's just a matter of, are there any scenarios if you don't want him? Like, what are the scenarios? 66% of the voters say yes. There are scenarios that could play out the rest of the season for us to believe he could be that permanent head coach. And 34% roughly say no, there's no scenario that can play out.
Yeah. I mean, if he gets this team to a bowl game or if they win all their games, whether you feel like it's the answer long-term or big picture or whatever, or whether you feel like there's, other candidates out there that might do better or not, you have to hire him. So I go back to that super chat we had yesterday about the Rodney Terry thing. That's where it comes into play, because he could coach his way into getting this job, and there's really no argument against it, in my opinion, because this is a mess right now. If all of a sudden that defense is, it looks like a new unit out there, and these guys are playing hard and flying all over the place, and they're beating the teams on this schedule, there comes a point in time where it would be hard to say no. or at the very least, it would have to be such a home run splash type of hire to where it's just like, yeah, we appreciate you, Bobby, but this is built different. Like, I don't, like if Bobby Petrino goes 7-0 or 6-1 or whatever, and he gets his team to a good bowl game and you just busted everybody in the SEC's ass. I don't know that you could just look at Rhett Lashley and be like, okay, sorry, Bobby, but we're bringing in old Rhett here, or whatever Joe Schmo coordinator out there that people are excited about his future or something. So is there a scenario? Absolutely there is.
Yeah, I don't know why 34% of the voters would willingly admit I'm going to belligerently stick to my guns no matter what, and nothing will change my mind. Because again, when you're trying to hire a head coach, a lot of the questions you ask are, can they beat the big teams? Can they win games they're not supposed to win? Can they go on the road? Can they ignite the fan base? Can they get boosters to buy into them? And I think people are underselling what would happen if Arkansas won 5 games down the stretch. I'll even go 5-2. If Arkansas won 5 games down the stretch here, that would become one of the biggest stories nationally. It would, by the way, there's a lot of people in the state who really feel firmly about Bobby Petrino that, by the way, feel things that I don't feel very strongly. You think if Arkansas went 5-2 down the stretch, that Frank Fletcher and John Tyson and all these guys would not very much be thinking, oh, wow, this really might be a thing. And so I don't know how people could say, yeah, we that would just be something you can just ignore of, no, none of that matters. Again, is it the whole thing? No, but yeah, there's absolutely a scenario where I would view this thing through a very different lens. And I don't know why people are trying to pretend that they don't feel that way, or that they wouldn't feel that way if the circumstances change. Like, I always make the joke of like, yeah, if the circumstances were completely different, yeah, maybe I would feel differently. That's what's happening here.
The people who feel that way are Dan Wolken followers is what it is. Yeah.
Yes,
People that are going to get stuffed in lockers, and your children are going to get stuffed in lockers and thrown in the trash can and getting their lunch money taken because you are a nerd.
See, that's the thing is, like, I'll even take another scenario a step further. It's like, because it's always about how you feel. Even if Arkansas win 3 and 4 down the stretch, we'll say that. And, you may be on the fence, but if those 3 wins came in the final 3 games of the season against Texas, LSU, and Missouri, I'm just throwing it out there. That would change everybody's mind. It's like, man, we beat Texas, we beat LSU, we beat Missouri, we did all these things. It just changes you. It changes your viewpoint on things. Winning changes your viewpoint on things. And that's what we're talking about. That's the scenario we're talking about. Yes, there's a lot of other moving pieces that go into there, but I'm telling you right now, if you're Frank Fletcher or any of those guys, or if you're just common fan, having season tickets or whatever, you don't think that if Bobby Petrino went 5-2 down the stretch or something like that, that you wouldn't immediately re-up your season tickets next year if he was the permanent head coach? You wouldn't immediately be like, man, we need to make sure this guy's taken care of. We need to make sure, dude, KJ Jackson next season, oh my gosh, could you imagine what he's going to look like? Like, you just start feeling it, and you start getting hyped up and excited because you've experienced it again. You've witnessed it again, and you don't want that feeling to go away. You don't want it to go away, and you're scared. Even if you have a rock star coach that is like, hey, well, if we don't go with Petrino, we'll go with this person. Even then, you're like, but that was fun though. That 7-game stretch was really fun. I don't want to lose that. We shouldn't make the same mistake we did last time. There will be that pretzel in your mind that just keeps working itself to where you'll be scared. You'll be scared to give that up if it was a great, nice, fun, successful run in these past 7 games.
Selective memory is a very real thing, man. And as poorly as it ended with all the, scandal, drama, whatever you want to call it, the Wolkens of the world are hung up on, from however many years ago, the feelings that we had with what Arkansas was doing on the football field during that time period with Bobby Petrino, a lot of us hold that very near and dear to our heart. Haven't had it since. And then if all of a sudden you're starting to get it again in this little interim period, this little window here, and it's recapturing those memories that you've been waiting to be able to relive for so long, it's going to be hard when people start thinking with their heart like that, man. And you rekindle some of those flames of passion for old Petrino. He can swindle you, man. So watch out for that. But I think there's absolutely something to it. The whole interim thing is weird, but it has to be viewed differently than, like, I don't know who Virginia Tech's interim coach is or UCLA's interim coach is, if they want to be candidates for the job or whatever, but none of them are in the situation like Bobby Petrino. None of these coaches who are running an interim operation right now have the history or the track record that Bobby Petrino does just as a coach in the game. And they certainly don't have it with the history within the program. Not many guys coach at a program as a head coach for multiple years and then leave and wind up coming back as an OC and winding up an interim. It's not something that happens. That's why this is one of the biggest national stories out there right now. And it just adds another layer into the intrigue and another layer into the percentage thing that we did yesterday about like what are the percentage chances of Petrino having the interim tag lifted at some point and being named the head. Higher than it is anywhere else because of all those factors, just from a baseline before he even coaches a game.
I would also remind people, this scenario that we're talking about literally just played out less than a half decade ago. Like, Ed Orgeron was the interim head coach at LSU. And I know that's not the exact same situation. It's not the exact same thing. But to Dan Wolken's point of, hey, you know what a coach is, you know what he is as a candidate no matter what, and nothing can change that. Would that not have applied to Ed Orgeron, who was the defensive line coach at LSU and had already been a failed SEC head coach, had already been a failed head coach at other places, and was the D-line coach, and then he takes over for Les Miles, and he goes 6-2, and he gets the job. Like, and I'm not saying that, hey, Ed Orgeron's the greatest example, and Arkansas should try and replicate that thing, but Ed Orgeron did go on to win a national title at LSU. He also went on to lose to Troy and went on to lose to some other weird teams or whatever, but he literally lost to Troy and then won the national championship 2 years later. So again, it speaks to this idea that, like, if we're saying, hey, a coaching candidate is what he is and the context doesn't matter and nothing can change that, then how do you explain that Ed Orgeron was the D-line coach, starts the year as the D-line coach, finishes the year as the interim head coach, and then winds up taking the job and winning a national championship? Because context matters, because things that happen on the field matters. Sometimes we feel one way about a guy, we see something play out and we feel differently. Like, and again, I'm not saying this situation is the same as the LSU situation. That's a very different roster, very different fan base, very different everything. But I'm like, if we just watch this play out with a guy who, by the way, less proven than Bobby Petrino as a head coach at that time that he was hired, I don't know why people are so dense and acting like there's literally nothing that could happen that could change it. That is just insane.
Well, my favorite thing, I know we'll get to some of the audio, but my favorite thing is I got one of, I would say, because I'm actually cool with it, but he was more just asking. He was a guy from another school that covers another school in the SEC. And he's like, I mean, what like, is you really down to replicate what Bobby Petrino, like all that stuff last time he was here? Is like, yeah, I would. If it meant ending in disaster, but going 21-5 in a final 2-year stretch, yeah, I would do it.
It's 2 CFP appearances, man.
Easily.
Right. Well, same with the Ed Orgeron thing, where it's like, I'm sure Dan Wolken would look at that and say, well, see, clearly LSU shouldn't have hired Ed Orgeron. It's like, if it meant a national title, I think I would be okay with that. And by the way, the term he used when he tweeted at me was it would be a fluke. And I'm like, you could argue that LSU national championship was a fluke. Sign me up for a fluke. If Bobby Petrino can fluke his way to a 10-2 season at Arkansas, which you could argue he already did, I would gladly sign up for a fluke that meant my team won a lot of games and we were nationally relevant.
Yeah, I'm all about the flukes. All about the flukes. Well, let's get to hear what Bobby Petrino had to say. But first, we want to remind everybody that SARACEN is one of our great sponsors here on Inside Arkansas. They're the #1 sports betting app in the state of Arkansas for a reason, because they're the best of the best. They're always having great specials. You can bet on anything here in the state of Arkansas. It's incredible how many different specials that they have each and every week. And of course, don't forget with Razorback and in-state schools like Arkansas State, UCA, they always have betting lines where you can win big. So download the app today by clicking that link in the description below here on this video, or you can scan that QR code on your screen to download the app. And when you download the app, use the code INSIDEAR. That's INSIDEAR. If you bet $25, you get $125. It's as simple as that. So again, click the link or use the QR code, takes you to the app, download the app, start to bet $25, get $125 for free using code INSIDEAR with SARACEN. All right, guys, there's a few clips here that we had from Bobby Petrino. It's just good to hear his voice again. I can't wait for my impersonations to mean something again. But Bobby Petrino was asked about the team meeting, because that was kind of the big thing of meeting with the team and what the vibes were and everything. And again, these are just audio, folks, but here's what Bobby had to say about that team meeting.
We had a team meeting Monday, and I thought it went very well. Got a lot on the table. There's some hurt feelings, obviously, with Coach Pittman not being here anymore and a couple of the defensive guys not being here anymore. And I understand that, and the players understand that they need to move on and have a great finish to the next 9 weeks so that they can be marketable, whether that's going into the NFL, staying here, or transferring. they need to have a very, very productive 9 weeks, as do I and the assistant coaches. So we've just been trying to focus on that. Went out yesterday, and I felt like we had a good practice. There was a great attitude out there. Guys were going full speed. We still got a lot of things to work on, a lot of things to get better at. But the effort and attitude was there, and I was encouraged by what I saw.
I just love the fact that he almost said a swear. I mean, he was this close. Yeah, he's got to dust the cobwebs off, man. He's got to get used to, being on that. But talked about the meeting, said, hey, everybody's going full speed. He's like, I know there were hurt feelings, but, we got to get going. We can't feel sorry for ourselves. Just what'd you make of what he said about the team meeting?
He's right in everything that he laid out there about the transfer portal. You could enter now, and then what? Like, okay, you got to jump on the other folks, but you can't go anywhere and play right now. And, everybody else is going to be able to put out this tape or whatever. And once the portal opens, all those people are going to flood into it anyway. So you're just kind of sitting there. So you have an opportunity to increase your profile, become more marketable, become more of somebody that people are going to pay, whether it's Arkansas who wants to keep you or other places who want to get you or whatever. So he's right about all that. I'm happy that he's embracing the business side of this and the individual side of it, as opposed to just trying to do it. I'm sure he said some of these things too, or maybe Juracek did when he was addressing the team, but the whole, you're doing it for the name on the front of the jersey and, band of brothers and everything like that. That's a little bit harder to sell, given some of the things that we saw play out on the field over the course of the last few weekends there. So I think it was a good approach on his part. I did kind of chuckle at some of the things that he was talking about. I don't remember if he just said it in this clip, but he was kind of asked a similar question about it and balancing the feelings versus getting to work and all that. And he was like, yeah, everybody's feeling something. Like everybody's upset about something in this scenario. Coach Pittman, he brought me in here, gave me the opportunity. We became great friends. And I woke up Sunday morning and he was gone. It's like we're all dealing with a loss or whatever. The difference is Bobby Petrino is now the head coach of this operation. All those guys are still in the same damn spot they were earlier. So that kind of made me laugh. But I'm good with what he said there. I think it makes sense. And I'm glad that he's not tiptoeing around what's really going to, maybe galvanize these guys to stay and put their best foot forward, which is you need this for you and your opportunities in the future.
I just like to hear a guy in a leadership position saying the things he's supposed to say. Because listen, if you're a college athlete at the University of Arkansas right now, there's a lot of factors. You are not crazy for thinking you aren't set up to succeed here down the stretch. You are not crazy for considering entering the transfer portal. You are not crazy for being ambivalent about how you feel about this thing. But the person who should be telling you those things is not your head coach. Your head coach is sitting here saying, hey, no, let's get on board. Let's get here. Let's do this. Let's not make excuses. Let's not say, oh, the season's lost. Let's not say, oh, hey, let's enter the portal. It reminds me a little bit. There's a clip of George St. Pierre, great UFC fighter, where he's in the corner between rounds and he tells his coach, hey, I think I pulled my groin. And his coach says, I don't care. Here's what you need to do. You go in, you get the takedown, you do this, and he starts just coaching. Just says, I don't care about your groin. I really don't. There's another clip of Jack Della Maddalena, now the World Heavyweight Champion, and his coach, while he's going to the 5th round, he's like, you're not tired. He's just shouting that at him. You're not tired. You're not tired. And he's just lying to him, trying to get him to mentally block it out and just focus on the task at hand. And that's a little bit what Bobby's doing here. And to the point he made the other day, it's not being dismissive of their feelings. You can feel however you want to feel, but I'm just going to tell you how I feel. And here's what I want to do. And here's what we should do together. I don't like that, and that's one of my big issues with the way Pittman would message things is he was always referencing, well, that other team's a lot better than us. Well, they got more money than us. Well, and he's always making the public and making his team aware of all the things that they are up against. And I just don't think that's the right mentality. I'm not saying that means those kids aren't up against it, but it's like if you are constantly reminded by someone in a leader position why you shouldn't succeed, you probably won't.
Yeah, no, and I just like the self-awareness of the situation that Petrino has of kind of like what you said, Curtis. It's like, I'm not here for win one for us, because you guys are, you don't want to hear that. To me, that would be the quickest way, in my opinion, the quickest way to get everybody to just be like, whatever, dude, shut up. Like you just want this job. You're not doing it. Bobby's coming in and be like, I know how you guys feel and everything. That's fine and all. But, if you want a future, if you want to try to make something out of it, you got 7 games. And if you want to leave, that's fine. But if you want to play and put some film together to make sure that you get the best opportunities moving forward, that's fine too. We'll do whatever it takes, but you got to get on board. It's like, it's very aware of the situation. It's not, trying to blow smoke. It's here it is. What are you going to do about it? And now it's going to have them challenging that. And in fact, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, and that's a good approach to have. He has that mentality too of one of two things, like kind of like you talked about earlier, that story you were telling of, it's a situation where, hey, I don't really care because I'm going to recruit guys who are better than you anyway, potentially, or I'm not going to be here anyway. So we don't have to do this whole thing where we're all kumbaya and everything. If we kind of have an understanding here of what's best for you, and then what's best for me is going to also equal what's best for the team, then we're good to go. We're Gucci, man. This is all good here. We don't have to have this whole, emotional attachment and everything else. And I feel like Sam Pittman might've been a little bit too worried about some of those factors there. Oh, am I going to lose this guy? Oh, am I going to lose that guy? Oh, Coot, man, I don't want to redshirt you for somebody else, man. And whereas Bobby Petrino here, I think he just has a good understanding of his situation and what he's dealing with, and he's standing on business. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, in the right mentality, we talked about accountability with these players, and I'm sure in that meeting on Monday or on Sunday, he looked at these guys in their eyes and kind of was like, hey, not blaming you guys, but there's accountability that we all have to take, and we're going to get whatever y'all want to get out of this experience, we will get. And if you want to quit and you want to be sad and you want to moan, like, you're well within your rights to do that, but just go do it somewhere else. Like, you don't have to do that here. That's not what we're going to try and accomplish here. And obviously it's not going to be, hey, we're going to go 7-0 and win out, but it's like, if you get to just try and you get to be on a national platform, you get to play against the best competition in the country. You have all these opportunities right in front of you, and it's your obligation. You can do whatever you want to do with that opportunity. You don't have to take it. You don't have to be, have a good mindset, but you just don't have to do that here. If you're going to do that and you want to do that else, you think you have better opportunities elsewhere, go get them, go ahead.
Yeah. And then to the point that Curtis, the story I was saying is when I was at the U of A, there was a certain player that was a Houston Nut holdover. And there was a lot of players that were Houston holders that hated Bobby Petrino. Get it. Completely staunch different. But Petrino's message in walking into the group is just like, I'm just going to let everybody know here, I'm out. My job is to recruit some people better than all of you. That's my job. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to recruit people that are better than all of you. And if that upsets you, good, then prove me wrong. Show me that I'm wrong. And it's just that mentality. And it goes also too, because I know we have some other clips. I think we talked about it maybe yesterday or the day before, but about having a coach that has the arrogance of, I don't care if you're here or not, I'm going to win. Like that is a very staunch approach to where it's like, I am so confident in my abilities that, hey, listen, if you want to be here, that's great. If you don't, that's fine too. I'll still win. I can do it without you. I love the mentality of just being that guy. And that way, especially in this day and age, you're not coddling, you're not making me like, oh, no, I need you. It's like, no, if you want to get out of here, you can go. I'll figure something out. But the transfer portal, though, is something that I tweeted out yesterday, and I think a lot of people misunderstood what I was saying when I was like, I'm surprised that no one's hit the portal. I'm surprised just because given the circumstances of how college athletics are right now, people hit the portal right and left. It doesn't matter about the reasoning. It's just people do it. Well, Bobby was asked about players hitting the portal and with his meeting and if anything of that nature is happening. And here's what he had to say.
No, we had everybody in the weight room all day yesterday lifting, and everybody out on the practice field. Everybody attended meetings on time. I think they all understand, and that was one of the things I tried to address with them right off the bat. And there's actually no benefit to going into the transfer portal right now. The only thing it can hurt is you, financially, and no ability to go in and play right away, and no video on tape to make you, your transition, if you're going to transfer somewhere, marketable. So there's really no reason for anyone to go into the transfer portal. And I think once I laid it out that way for the players, they understood it.
Well, hearing it. I mean, it's like kind of what we talked about, but that's the right approach to doing it. And I think this is what the players, I assume, probably need most in anything, is just being real with them. Like about their situation, just being very honest, upfront, transparent, being real with them. Like, hey, there's no point in you doing this, because all it's going to do is hurt yourself if you do that.
Yeah. And I think we said yesterday, we didn't necessarily expect a mass exodus of, key players and starters and everything like that. But I do think it's very surprising that nobody on the periphery, like there's not a guy on this team really who feels like he should have been playing, but wasn't or hasn't gotten a fair shake, and he kind of sees what's going on here, and he's like, man, I got to cut my losses and get out while I can. What that tells me is the message from Bobby Petrino in this team meeting in the first couple days since taking over has resonated so far. Like, the portal's open for 30 days, so you can make a decision whenever you want to. And what I'm going to be fascinated to see, well, let me say this first. Sam Pittman got fired at noon officially on Sunday. And at 12:01, the tampering that was already happening ratcheted up to, to a 10 on the tamper scale there. That's just the way that this works. So nothing has come of that yet. Now, what I'm going to be anxious to see is when they start playing games again. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, if you go out there and you play against Tennessee and you lose by 4 touchdowns or something, but certain guys there are really balling out, or some young guys emerging, and then those calls were taking place, and it's like, hey, man, seeing what you're doing over there, that's a tough situation. Is that really where you want to be? Is that really what you want to have going on? What you want to be represented by? How about you come here where we're winning and this program's not in shambles right now? And, oh, by the way, we can pay you this. That stuff is going to happen. So if he can continue to ward off the vultures out there, the Lane Kiffins of the world, then that's going to impress me quite a bit. That's like another thing I think to consider here in terms of, should Bobby Petrino have that interim tag removed at some point? I'm not saying, oh, you have to retain all the players off of a team that was bad enough to get the coach fired in the middle of the year. But if you can prove that you're able to do that and get that type of buy-in given the situation, I do think that's pretty telling in an era where over the course of the last 2 years, Arkansas has had more players combined enter the transfer portal than any power conference school in the country. That is a problem. It limits your continuity. It puts you in a situation where you never know what you're going to get in a given year. And if he can at least show in a small sample size that he can avoid some of that in an already piss poor situation, I think that's a check mark in the win column, in the pro column for Bobby Petrino there.
Yeah, and it's not as simple as when a player transfers, it's bad for your program. When a player doesn't transfer, it's good for your program. But I'm with you that, like, I think that is a good sign, and we've just been so conditioned to expect everybody to leave because it's been so easy for guys to enter the portal out of Arkansas. And it really is powerful, I feel, to have a guy in a leadership position push back against that. Because that's one thing that, and I know I'm being hard on Pittman, but like Pittman never did. He always, anytime a guy transferred, hell, when he was asked about Kudus the other day, he's like, oh, hell, I mean, yeah, I understand. He's got to do it. He's like, again, justifying some of these decisions of like, yeah, sometimes you do need to go somewhere else and play. And I just think that that is not what you want. You do not want someone in a leadership position at your university saying it is okay to go somewhere else and kind of justifying some of those decisions. So I expect the number is going to be higher than 0. Like he's not just going to be able to keep everybody. And I don't even know if you'd want to keep everybody, but to the point of it not making sense for a lot of these guys to transfer, we all are on the same page. We all see that. I would also point out there's a lot of guys on this roster, especially in the 2 deep, that are seniors that have no eligibility left. Like Taylor Green, literally what's he going to do? Not play football? Yeah, he's going to play football. Miguel Mitchell, all these guys, Larry Wirth, they're all seniors with no eligibility. And so it's like a lot of the main guys that are going to be playing on the team not only aren't going to be transferring, don't have the option. And so what can they do mentality-wise? I think it's also a chance for
man. Yeah, he was going on one. That's all right, though. That's all right. But I also think, too, because before we play the clip about balancing the hurt feelings and the mentality of the team, too, another thing I wanted to throw in was with Petrino, again, it's a consistency. And all it's going to take, I'm not saying this will happen, but again, all it's going to take is if this team found a way, say, to win against Tennessee or play better than they have all year, and they see the results, it's going to be like, man, this guy kind of knows what he's talking about. Because I go back to, again, when he was at Arkansas originally, there were so many guys I talked to that are like, I hated Bobby Petrino that played for him. I hated this guy. He sucked. He was a jerk. I would never, ever talk to him or anything. But once you saw the results, you're kind of like, this guy knows what he's talking about. Like, this guy knows what he's doing, so I'm going to do whatever he asked me to do. It's like the Cal. I don't know if you guys saw it. I'm sure you did, Curtis. But when Cal Perry had some of the former Razorbacks from the 94 team, Dwight Stewart, Al Dillard, Corey Beck, Clint McDaniel. I think it was Al Dillard saying it about Cal Perry. He's like, man, you gotta listen to this guy. He's a Hall of Fame coach, national champion. He's like, I just understand how none of y'all could listen to this guy at any point in time in your life. It's like, listen, he knows because it's the results. So I think it's about the results that come along with it. Mm-hmm. But here's Bobby Petrino, though. He was asked about the hurt feelings when he's discussed it and everything. How do you balance that? I think Jackson Fuller has it, which, by the way, also, I meant to say this. Shout out to Andrew Hutchison at Best of Arkansas Sports. He's the one that had the audio from this SEC teleconference, and I want to make sure gave him credit for that. But here's Bobby talking about balancing the hurt feelings and the challenges that he's going to be giving the players.
Yeah, I don't really know what the balancing act is. I know that I tried to let them understand that everybody in the room is feeling some of the things that have hurt and don't feel right, and something that I came here to coach the quarterbacks, coordinate the offense. I came here because Coach Pittman was a man that reached out to me, and I developed a really close friendship with him and respect him tremendously. And I woke up and now he's no longer here. So I have the same feelings that a lot of people in the room had. And then we have to understand it. And then you try to go out and do something positive for somebody, and then get back to what's important to you before it happens. So that's kind of how I've always handled a crisis, is to make sure you mourn properly, make sure you do something positive for somebody, and then get back to what was important to you before.
See, there you go, Bobby. I assume he handled the crisis of the motorcycle accident that way too, just making it happen. But no, it's like that's the deal. Is like he's saying all the right things, and I love the fact he's like, yeah, I just woke up and he was fired. I was like, come on, Bobby, you probably had an idea, right? Come on now. But
something tells me you knew all week. But
yeah, exactly. But again, it goes back to the challenges that it is and what you're going through. It's like there's a lot worse interim coaches you could have in this situation, but the feelings that anybody has doesn't matter at this point. It just matters about focusing on what you got next. And you got a bye week and you got Tennessee on the road. And guess what, guys? Last time I checked, Tennessee's not just going to be like, oh man, poor Arkansas, we're going to take it easy on them. No, they're going to try to crush you. Like they're going to try to beat the brakes off of you. And because I believe Tennessee has a bye week this week too. So it's not like they don't like they have that. So my thing is the pressure is going to be on Tennessee, to beat Arkansas, but they're not going to take it easy on you just because you're going through what you're going through. Like they're going to take it out on you.
Yes, they are. It's a tough place to go play with your first game there. I know at least Arkansas owns Tennessee.
It's true.
Football. Like, I mean, you have that going for you, but that's not where I would want to go for my first game as the interim.
Tennessee's Josh Heupel is looking at this Arkansas defense the way that I look at my microwaved chicken wings whenever I'm eating them from the next day, and I'm sitting there just looking at them in the microwave. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what Josh Heupel's looking at. Although I will say, the last time Arkansas and Tennessee played, Arkansas was able to win because they threw a defensive scheme at Tennessee that
Tennessee wasn't prepared for.
Yes.
Yeah. Oklahoma had the book out on them from that game the week before, and Arkansas executed absolutely flawlessly, and it threw them. It threw a wrinkle in them for sure there. 14 points. That's all they mustered up there. They couldn't get anything going through the air. It's impressive stuff.
And also, folks, I doubt Bobby Petrino's calling up Travis Williams. Hey, I know I just fired you, but what was those schemes you did? What was those things you did against Tennessee last year? Can you help me out? Can you give me the secrets? Like, no, that's not going to be happening.
I think they need to come out in just a completely different defensive front that literally no one's ever seen.
Yeah.
Like go with like a 2-5-4 and just throw something at them that they have not seen and we're not prepared for.
Yeah. Said, what's the worst that could happen? I'll tell you what, we'll get into some of the defensive changes because Petrino talked a little bit about that here in a second. But I want to remind everybody, Hickey and Hull Law is the official legal firm, the legal advising crew, and the law firm of Inside Arkansas. They're the best in the business here in the state of Arkansas because they are going to help you with every step of the way. Divorce, custody, criminal cases, civil litigation cases, personal injury cases, all of those things. They are going to make sure that you are taken care of and you are protected every step of the way. They're going to give you that advice that you need because you don't want to ever handle it by yourself. Nothing like that needs to be handled by yourself. You need the professionals of Hickey and Hull Law. And they have offices across the state of Arkansas, Fayetteville, Fort Smith, Little Rock, and Mena. But you can also call them today at 479-434-2414. That's 479-434-2414. Or you can check them out at their website at hickeyandhull.com. You can scan that QR code right there on your screen. Or scan the QR code right there. Or scan the QR code on your screen or check out the website at hickeyandhull.com. It's Hickey and Hull Law. Things are about to get better. Okay, so Bobby Petrino was asked about the defense and the defensive changes. I think this might be the two-part question that Tom Murphy asked, so you may have two questions in here. But here's Petrino talking about some of the changes that may be going on defensively.
Yeah, I don't know if tinker is the right word. I think what we're working on is things that we we have in the system that we can make our base and get players to understand it better, get players to play faster, get all 11 guys on the same field to do their job on every single play, and have it all work together. There was a lot of defense in. There was a lot of assignment errors and confusion, and we're really working hard at making sure that goes away and we can get lined up, get in a great stance, get our eyes where they belong, and play together as a unit.
Okay, I'm also wondering, are you any closer to the, I guess, on-field hire, and are you leaning toward linebackers coach or a D-line coach on that?
I'm working hard on it. We've been working on it now for a couple of days. I think I got the guy I want, but I haven't had the stamp, okay, move ahead, let's go yet, but working hard on it.
Okay. So we'll start with the first part, though, when he's talking about the defensive changes, man. I know that Pittman kind of talked about it, and you just hearing it from Petrino, it's like they're just not doing the base and haven't been doing the simplest things. And we're just going to get to that basics of just the simple things. Is that going to make the defense go from last to first? No, but it just really stood out to me, taking Petrino in his word and taking what Pittman said. I don't know if it was the coaching staff, I don't know if it was the player, but just nobody knew what the heck was going on and how to do the simplest things.
Yeah, it's pretty simple on the surface, like where the correction should start when you are very confused and unorganized and not all playing hard as a unit right there. Like just make sure you know where you're going and you're lined up appropriately and that you're giving max effort. Let's start there. And then what was he saying the other day? Like, okay, we're going to get back to the basics. So, these individual drills, work on our tackling, our footwork. It's really going back to defense 101 here. That's how much of a mess it was, to where you got to go back to that stuff. You got to get that baseline established before you start worrying about getting overly creative and everything else. So it was interesting to hear Bobby Petrino talking defense right there. That was something. And I do want to say, I just kind of brushed it off at the time. I was like, well, they got to have somebody, as an interim DC. I'm not saying that Chris Wilson is like, oh, wow, this is a diamond in the rough or whatever that you have. At least he's done it before.
Yeah.
At least he's done it before. He did it at Colorado, defensive coordinator. He did it at Mississippi State. He did it in the USFL. Like, this is a guy who has called defenses before in multiple stops, and he's been doing this for a long time. It's not like some GA that got promoted or whatever. So maybe he's got some fresh ideas or a little bit better of a vibe that matches what Bobby Petrino is looking for. I'm anxious to see what it looks like. This is not going to become a good defense, but can it go from just a non-defense? Like, you might as well not even have anybody out on the field because you're giving up a touchdown literally every possession type of defense. Yeah, maybe it can do that. And then if you can score enough points, maybe you'll win a game or two.
I would gladly settle for anything other than the definitive worst defense in the conference. And I think one could make an argument, is this just the same speech that Pittman gave after the Ole Miss game about simplifying things and making it easier for them? I think the difference here is Bobby talked about some specifics, and I think they're actually going to make a concerted effort. I think Pittman just said that to get the reporters off his back. I think he was just like, oh, yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to simplify things. He didn't go into any specifics. I like that Bobby, not that he was saying anything groundbreaking, but actually did have some suggestions of things they can do to actually change that. Didn't just give a vague, oh, yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll simplify things.
Yeah, and it's also, like, maybe I'm giving too much credit where it's due, but, Petrino being the offensive mind, I have a feeling that he probably has seen good defenses before and what makes good defenses. And he's probably like, all right, well, I know that we don't have that. And when we've gone up against, as my offense has gone up against good defenses, what were some of the things that made them so good? Yeah, talent is the biggest thing. But it was probably some simple things of being in those right positions and doing all of those things. So, yeah, I'm going to be curious who he has in mind. And also, what? Not that it matters, but he's talking about adding a new coach. He's like, I've already basically said, here's the guy I want, just waiting on the okay. I'm like,
what are we waiting on? Yeah.
Like who's supposed to give you the okay? Is it Juracek? And if so, is it a money thing, or is it, that, like, because you were given the keys, is basically said, hey, you're able to do whatever you want. So I'd be curious to know if there's, I'm not saying Bobby was pissed at anybody, but you could tell it's kind of like just waiting on them to give me the okay so we can get going here. He doesn't have any patience, but it makes me feel like there'll be somebody announced here soon. I just wonder who.
They just waiting on him to get his application put in Workday or whatever, where people apply for jobs. Like, what are we doing here? We got an SEC football game in 10 days. Let's get this man in here this week. How about that?
Dude, I'm telling, I know I still can't help but think it's Todd Grantham. I'm not saying he'll come in and be the defense, but like, as far as an analyst or something, I can't help but think. And I'm wondering if maybe the holdup is just like, oh, contracts. We got to make sure that we're not, conflict of interest. Because if it was just some unemployed dude that's coming in, it's like, there'd be no problems. It would be pretty simple. But I'm wondering, that's just my reckless assumption. It's got to be somebody that maybe has some contract issues or contract stuff they have to go through. So, but again, I don't know. Bobby seems to have a pretty good idea and full control over what's going on, what he's trying to do. But I wish I could just, not that it ever happened, but man, wouldn't it be kind of interesting to go to those practices? Like going to the like the final Pittman practice and then comparing it to what this Petrino practice was, like how, was it vastly different in the amount of rage and anger? Was it vastly different in the organization? Was it vastly different in the approach? I would just be really fascinated to see like the differences in the attitude, but also just the organization of it, if there is that big of a difference.
I would be very interested in seeing that too. We never will.
Nope.
We absolutely will not. Maybe if he gets the job full time and they open it up a little bit for spring.
I saw some people asking, they were like, now that Bobby's the head coach, will we open up practice? And I'm like, no, it's actually going to be the opposite.
Yeah.
We will never see practice.
Yeah. In fact, could not be more further from the opposite. In fact, they probably closed down. They probably took some practices away from you. Like now, it's so much that they don't want to have happen. And just a few other quick clips. We don't have to spend too much time on them. Some of them were pretty basic. But for instance, someone asked him about recruiting. How's that being handled? I know a lot of decommitments. I know Dudley with Inside Arkansas Recruiting has been on top of a lot of these decommitments. But how is that going? What is that looking like? Here's Bobby.
Yeah, we're just trying to continue the relationships that we've had. I felt like we did a really good job of recruiting here. We have a good group. And we all do understand that, we're going to lose some guys. That's the nature of the business. And there's guys that, I know there's a guy a couple days ago or the next day that really, really wants to come here, is really interested in this, but mom and dad don't want him to be left out in the cold. So he decommitted from us. So, I mean, it's life for them too. And, a lot of unanswered questions. We're just going to continue to build the relationships we have. And continue to understand the young men that it's about the University of Arkansas and how much you liked it here when you're on your visit and going to school and getting your degree, and the football part of it will take care of itself.
Right. Education and all those things.
No doubt about it. I mean, what else are you going to sell to them? You know what I mean? It's got to be something. And the only thing that is going to be constant is that the university will still exist if you choose to attend. So,
yep, that's right. Well, and also too, real quick story about academics and Bobby. Had a friend of mine he's a JUCO player, back when JUCO players in football were things. But he was a JUCO player, played for Petrino back in the day. And he said that they walked in and there's all the newcomers and they had this academic advisor come into this auditorium and talk to the new guys. Here's what you got to do, blah, blah, blah. Bobby comes right in. He's just like, if you want to be a doctor, you want to be a doctor. You want to be a lawyer, we're going to help you be a lawyer. It's whatever you want to do. I need you eligible. That's all I care about. I just need to make sure you're making grades so you can play. And he walked out and I'm like, there you go. That's just because he does not care. He's like, if you want to do those things, that's fine. But I don't care what you do as long as you're making that 2.0, baby. That's what I need. Okay, and just a couple other quick ones too. Here's Bobby Petrino talking about Tennessee prep and if they've started that just yet.
Well, we got to start on that on Sunday evening, early Monday morning. We've been working on it. Part of practice yesterday was versus Tennessee. I always like to on bye weeks go back and work some ones versus ones, twos versus twos, and then also have a couple periods a day that are segments a day, I guess I should say, that are versus Tennessee. And it allows you to just work on one emphasis. Like today's emphasis is going to be third and short and third and medium. Yesterday was first and 10 and blitz. So it's just how you break it up and try to get better as individuals and then try to make sure we get a head start on the preparation for the game.
I just can't help but get excited. And then finally, the last one we'll play is about Petrino, on who's coaching the linebackers currently and what's that setup like?
Yeah, we've got a couple of young guys that have been working there, and obviously Coach Wilson is splitting some time between the D-line and the linebackers. We've got 2 young graduate assistants that are helping him. So right now, between the 2 positions, we've got 3 guys and him overseeing it. Sometimes it's really good to meet together with the front and the linebackers. And one of our huge things that we're working on right now is our run fits. So the ability to install that, watch the video, see how it all works together is not a bad thing. It's kind of a good thing to have them all in the same room and go through those run fits.
There you have it.
Get everybody on the same page. What a novel concept. I like that. That sounds good. You know, he was talking about the bye week, and it's good that they're already doing some stuff for Tennessee, as they should be. But when he was talking about doing a little, some work with 1s versus 1s, 2s versus 2s, I know that university released depth chart doesn't mean anything, but I'm looking forward to seeing it on Monday, especially the defensive one. Like, offense probably is what it is, but I cannot wait to see that defensive depth chart and see if anything crazy has happened. They might not even put it on that thing, so we might have to wait until next Saturday, but it'd be kind of cool if they just completely shook it up.
I was going to say, it is very possible that they actually shake it up in real life and don't change the on paper depth chart at all.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I know that's a great point. I would love to see that. And this was from a year ago, but I still always love this clip from Petrino talking about the way that he gets ready for offense.
Be able to get on the computer and do football.
He loves that, just to get on the computer and do football. Just football. That's what he loves.
Get on my phone for a long drive and watch football.
Yeah, watch highlights. Watch highlights of the what was it? Was it the special teams that they would do highlights of? I think. What is what they were talking about? Something like that. Yeah. I don't know. Or highlights of the kick returns, something. But
he was talking about Cam Shanks. Were you talking about when he was driving?
Yeah.
He was watching Cam Shanks return clips while he was driving.
As we all do. I mean, we've all been there. But we'll go ahead and get to your chats, folks. I know we'll have our heavy hitters here in a little bit too, but want to remind everybody that Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas, it's one of our great sponsors here at Inside Arkansas. They do a great job of getting everybody ready for Halloween and Christmas, both. We actually last week had a free giveaway from Walter Christmas Lighting for a Halloween setup. And our guy, Brett, he sent me the picture and they're all good to go. And it looks incredible. It looks absolutely incredible. And later down the road, we're going to be giving away a Christmas lighting setup for free for your home with Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas. So make sure you get the professionals to do it. You still got time to put up the Halloween. It's officially October 1st. So it's spooky season. So you want to get your home looking good, being the talk of the neighborhood, do it with Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas. They provide all those materials. They give you free maintenance. If any strands go out or anything like that, they're going to take care of it. They install all the lights themselves, and they do any color, any pattern, anything that you want. So text our guy, Brett, for a free estimate today at 479-459-1380. That's 479-459-1380. You can also check out their website at walterchristmaslighting.com or like them on Facebook by scanning that QR code right there on your screen. It's Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas, your local holiday lighting experts. All right, getting into some of y'all's chats. Hopefully they're all some good ones. I'm sure they are, but you know the rules. Super chats get read first. That's just the way it is. Our guy Alex says, appreciate super chats. How about we take the money we pay a head coach and put it into the NIL fund, alternate and interim head coach between the highest donors every week? Sure. I mean, I don't think that's a great thing, but I understand that you want more money. I think everybody wants more money in the NIL. That's what's important.
Yeah.
Like, and then as we talk about, if you do a super chat with a coach's name, we will bring it up and read it. Jason says, how do y'all feel about Dan Mullen?
I'll tell you how I feel about Dan Mullen. He's a good coach. He's a very good, obviously, an offensive mind, quarterback guru. I think the biggest mistake that Dan Mullen made in his life was leaving Mississippi State for Florida. And I know that sounds stupid because Florida is, of course, a better job, but he would have had a statue built for him at Mississippi State. I think he did a really good job there, turned that program around, had them competing at the national level, had Mississippi State ranked number 1 in the country, had Dak Prescott. Like, I think it made sense logistically of like, oh, I did successful at this C-tier SEC school. Let me go to Florida. I think that was the stupidest thing he did because it put the bar higher for him. And so I think he's, a guy that will likely get a bigger job soon. I haven't been super thrilled with looking at his UNLV teams. I know they're 4-0. Those guys suck. Like, it's not a good football team, and he's taken over a program that was running on autopilot because of Barry Odom. I don't know if Dan Mullen necessarily can win in the SEC today in 2025. I'm very skeptical about him as a recruiter. because he really struggled to recruit at Florida. So why would he recruit well at Arkansas? But as a football coach, I do like Dan Mullen a lot. I just think you got to make like 25 guys say no before you go to him.
That's where I'm at. Somebody said on Twitter today, I wish I remember who it was, that Dan Mullen's coaching resume is the most misunderstood and maybe misinterpreted of like anybody in the country, because I think some people view it as like oh no, wow, oh God, a retread. Oh my goodness. Had a lot of success, man. But I'm with you. Is it my top choice? No. Is he on my board? Absolutely. And if you kind of roll through some of your first top candidates there and you land on Dan Mullen, will I be throwing my own parade down Dixon Street? Maybe not, but I wouldn't be too upset with it. I got to tell you, there's a pathway where it could work out pretty nice, honestly.
Yeah.
Here's one thing I will say. If any candidate we're talking about, if the current team that they are coaching might not would beat Arkansas, we can start the discussion. I do not believe, even if Sam Pittman were coaching Arkansas right now, I still don't think that UNLV, that team that Dan Mullen had, I still don't think they would beat Arkansas. I think Arkansas would probably score 70 on them and beat them, even with Sam Pittman as head coach. And so it's a tough sell for me personally when I watch a team play and I'm like, this team is not a good team. Whereas, hey, I watch USF play and I'm like, oh, that's a good team. I watch Memphis play. Oh, that's a good team. They just beat Arkansas. I don't even think UNLV would beat Sam Pittman's Arkansas team. So it's really going to be a tough sell, the idea that Mullen would be able to come right in and have a team that would compete at a high level. But I think his resume, to your point, Curtis, is way better than people give it credit for. I thought he was awesome at Mississippi State.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also too, because I agree with you guys on Mullen. The only thing is that maybe I'd be a little skeptical is that, he stopped coaching Florida in 2021. And I know that NIL just started, but no, this is his first kind of go around in this modern era. And I'm always a little skeptical of coaches that were successful in the previous era of college football, the Mike Gundys, the Dabos and all of that, and where they're at now. It's not to say that Dan Mullen couldn't do it. It's just, there's no real evidence of knowing that, he knows how to handle this modern era and where things are going. So
particularly because recruiting was kind of his Achilles heel at Florida. That's ultimately why he lost the job, is because he wasn't able to recruit at a high level at Florida pre-NIL. So would he be able to succeed at Arkansas with NIL? Very skeptical.
Shout out to Hickory Hog for being a member for 2 months. He says, can Tyson Walmart pay players in stock for NIL? Might be a way for them to feel better about their investment and also a different pitch. And I guess you can pay them however you want to in NIL. It's just a matter of, is that going to be enough for them to do it? You got to remember, these are young kids. And also, last time I checked, these kids that have representation and agents, they getting a percentage of that stock? Because they're going to be like, no. I want that cash money. Straight cash, homie. I need that money in my pocket. They don't want to take percentages of a stock. So I get what you're saying, Hickory Hog, but I think that there's just something to be said about hard-earned cash straight up front that people like, especially agents and athletes and all of that stuff. Let's see. Also, shout out to Whitty. He's been a member for 5 months. Appreciate it. He says, preach it, Curtis, check mark. I don't exactly remember which part it was. But.
I was going to say, I don't know what I was saying at the time, but thank you.
Yeah. A few more here. Caden says, thoughts on KJ Jackson's Twitter post. Also, why is Lane Kiffin obsessed with Arkansas players? Well,
Instagram, right?
Well, I was going to ask, is on Twitter, I saw him just the picture of him hugging Pittman. Is that what he's talking about?
I think he's talking about, he reposted something on Instagram. It was an Ole Miss player or maybe Ole Miss account. He reposted it on Instagram and put it on his story and then immediately deleted it.
Yeah. There was another player that did that too for Arkansas, by the way, but it was for Patrick Kudus. And I don't know if that player deleted it or not. I'm not going to call him out, but what do you, what can you think?
I'll just say, I don't love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I don't love it.
Read the room. Situational awareness.
Yeah. It's I don't love it, but at the same time, I'm not going to throw a fit, being like, oh, get this guy off the team, throw him out, right? And
I don't know who the Ole Miss player, it might have been one of his old teammates or something. I have no idea what the context was, but I saw it, and he's fully aware of everything that's happened with Ole Miss and poaching players and what Arkansas's current situation is. So that's probably why, whether it was him realizing, maybe I should have thought this one through a little bit better, or a teammate or somebody on staff being like, bro, what the hell are you doing? It got taken down pretty quick.
Yeah. Shout out to Nep, who's been a member for 5 months. He's like, once again, appreciate all the hard work y'all put in. No, thank you.
Yes,
appreciate you, Nep. Dylan also says, Curtis, he's been a member for a month. He's like, I really hope that Paulo is not redshirt this year.
Yeah, me too. It sounds like that's probably going to be the case. I think that's more he was going to be Arkansas's 10th man, right? Like that's kind of where that was at. And I think this might be more coming from him and his camp and his representation about, could do that, or maybe I redshirt and put on the weight that I need to put on the strength, because from a skill standpoint, he does things that people just can't do. And you guys see how, tall and athletic he is. He'll probably win the dunk contest on Friday. Like, he would have a role for Arkansas if he played this year, but it would be as a 10th man. So you have to think, all right, am I going to use a year of eligibility for that or not? I think the redshirt thing is silly in 2025 with the transfer portal and all that. How many guys stick around for 5 years, much less 4? But I'm with you, man. I think that's going to happen. Cal speaks at 2:00 today. I imagine that he'll address that and we'll have some clarity. But as I understand it, it was somebody off the coaching staff who said that at the women's clinic on Sunday. So if a coaching staff member is saying it, it's probably true.
There you go. And also, here's one I was going to bring up. Oh, Chase just says, I really doubt Petrino gets retained, even if he wins a lot. Too many big time players want somebody else. It's all about money. It's like,
who are these big time players?
This is the most vague statement I've ever read in my life. Because like, what does that mean? You doubt Bobby Petrino gets retained, which like fair, but it's like, even if he wins a lot, well, what does wins a lot mean? If he wins 5 games, are you saying he doesn't get retained? And who are these players that want something else? Like, I don't. Yeah, you got to be a little more specific. Give us something real to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay. He specified. He's talking about donors, like big time players, like money players, and not.
Oh.
Well, one. I thought he was talking about players on the team. I was like, who are these big time players that? Okay.
I guess, but here's another thing: is like that's why the donors part of it is why I think people are like assuming a lot of things, and I don't think that's an unfair assumption that donors might not be thrilled to throw a bunch of money at Bobby Petrino. Do you think winning would not change that conversation completely? Like, I literally in the last week, I had never heard until the last week that any donors supported Pittman as head coach. In the last week, we've heard that. And so if you think if they won 5 games, we wouldn't hear more of that?
Yeah, see, that's my thing is I'm like, dude, people got to understand. I know people will understand in the moment, but I'm like, winning cures all. Winning changes everything. And if Petrino wins, then it's going to change everyone's mind. It's going to change anyone that's against him's mind. It's going to change any of these donors. Like, well, I like this other guy. And they're like, well, man, how do we say no to this guy? It just changes everything. Winning changes everything. It's simple as that. All right, we'll get to more of your chats, folks, promise. But let's go ahead and get into our heavy hitters presented by HD Roofing and Construction. As we know, here in the state of Arkansas especially, storms can happen at any time. And with the seasons changing as we head into October, it's going to get colder. There's going to be ice. There's going to be snow. There's going to be rain. There's going to be all of that. We'll make sure that your roof is good to go, because there's nothing worse than trying to deal with a leaky roof or a damaged roof. Let HD Roofing Construction help you out, where they'll give you a free inspection and give you that peace of mind when it comes to your roof. They may come out there and say, hey, your roof needs to be replaced right now. Or they may come out there and say, hey, your roof is good to go. No harm, no foul. We'll see you guys later. And they're going to make sure that they're honest with you about telling you what you need to fix your roof, or if anything. So give them a call today. 501-428-0429. That's 501-428-0429. You can also check out their website at hdarkansas.com. It's HD Roofing and Construction, talking about our heavy hitters here on Inside Arkansas. Okay, so heavy hitters, guys. My heavy hitter for today, there's a few of them that I really like, but I also wanted to give a shout out to John Daly, because John Daly was asked about from Pig Sooie Nation about John Gruden and the chances, and I love this stuff because he's going to get asked because they're best friends, and he's just always very honest. But he said basically, he's like, we just haven't went out and gotten a huge name coach that would actually sell the seats just to watch Chucky go. He goes towards Chucky. He's like, let's see him do it. He's like, I'm a huge fan of Petrino, but Gruden would be a great guy. And I just love the stoking of the fire with that. Love the stoking of the fire. I've seen some people like Jake Crane over at Crane & Co. say, get John Gruden. I like that there's just stuff surrounding it where it's never going to go away, and it makes it funny to me. And I appreciate that. Whoever it is, if it's people that's close, if it's people that like to troll, whatever, even if it's John Gruden himself, I just appreciate the relevancy of, not only do we have Bobby Petrino back at Arkansas as the head coach, but we also have the John Gruden rumors swirling around the same time too. It's just all coming together like it never left. So shout out to them. But heavy hitter definitely is still the John Gruden rumors and keeping them alive, even though it's more than likely not going to happen.
I have horrible news to report, John. John Gruden has officially taken himself out of the running for the Arkansas job by posting the Missouri gear box reveal today.
I don't want him.
What are we doing, man? You're out. You're done. This is unbelievable. I quote tweeted and said, "Read the room, bro."
Seriously,
what are you
dude.
doing, man? Come on.
Why'd you have to backstab us like that, John? Come on.
Yeah. I saw somebody in the I can't remember if it was in my Twitter comments or in the chat that was like, that as soon as this job came open and the Gruden rumor started, that Drinkwitz overnighted that box to Gruden because he's that level of a troll. There might be some truth to that, honestly. But
yeah, I just love the fact that also too, I haven't watched it, but I'm hoping like he always went through all the great players that played at Arkansas. What's he gonna do for Missouri? Be like that Chase Daniel, man, he knew how to throw a pass. Doro Green Beckham. It's like, okay, cool. So yeah, I can't wait to watch it.
Oh man. My heavy hitter, I wasn't really sure where I was going to go with this today. I'm going to throw it out there. I'm anxious to get Andrew's take on this, and I got a no comment from Daniel Shee, but a report came from The Athletic that Albert Pujols is the front runner to get the Angels manager position. Interesting. I don't know how I feel about that. I need to spend some time at the Angels. I think his contract at the time when he left the Cardinals to go to the Angels, he got a boatload of money. And then part of it was like some stake or ownership, like a percentage of something within that organization. And now he's the front runner to be the manager there. That's kind of crazy, but I'm sitting here thinking about it. And I'm like, okay, I get it. I don't know how good of a manager he's going to be. He's a brilliant baseball mind. He's an awesome player, but I'm kind of like, Cardinals, regime change, new president of baseball operations. You just said that you're bringing Ali Marmol back as manager next year. He hasn't done anything, and you're going to let Albert Pujols go to the Angels. So I hope that this is just seasoning him and he wins manager of the year, and then he comes to St. Louis. I think it's only fair. If you leave St. Louis to go to the Angels in the peak of your powers as a player, and it worked out for the Cardinals in the long run because he didn't live up to that contract, but it's only right that you go to them as a manager and then you bolt on him to come back to St. Louis. That's what I'm hoping happens here. Albert Pujols is my heavy hitter today.
He could screw the Angels twice. That was my first thought, was like, if I'm the Angels, I'm anti this. And I have no idea how good Albert Pujols will be as a manager. I'm sure he'll be great. I mean, was there a more consistent player in his prime than him? Like, right. Dude clearly knows ball, clearly knows what he's doing. But if I'm an Angels fan, I don't have a very positive opinion of Albert Pujols based on the fact that you paid him $500 million and he was kind of just okay there. So I don't know if I would be super psyched about this, but as a Cardinals fan, I could see how you would like that path. That would be the funniest way for this to play out. But that is very interesting that he's going to get into the management.
Yeah.
Yeah. So didn't Barry Bonds, wasn't he a manager or something, or got close?
He was
to
a hitting coach for a while. I don't know if he ever managed in the MLB, but he was a hitting coach for the Marlins for a while.
Gotcha.
He turned Christian Yelich's career around, many say.
Oh, there you go. Who's your heavy hitter, Andrew?
My heavy hitter, I would like to congratulate the Arkansas baseball program. Today, October 1st, the official day that we can now clarify, Arkansas has passed up Vanderbilt as a program. And that doesn't mean that big picture Arkansas's had more success. I know Vanderbilt has more titles back in the day, but as of today, in the world we live in now, Arkansas is now officially a better baseball program. And the people who made this announcement were the Texas Rangers. They announced the game times for the Shriners Children's College Showdown. So Arkansas gets, as they always do, the best slot ever. You play 7 p.m. on Friday, 7 p.m. on Saturday, 2:30 on Sunday. Although I will say Arkansas plays a game in Globe Life Field on that Monday. So really there's not a ton of benefit other than for the fans who are there that want to get home before, the crack of dawn or anything. So that's a great setup for Arkansas. Here are the times that Vanderbilt, by the way, 5 years ago, you could have made a real argument. Vanderbilt was literally the best program in the country. They are playing at 3 p.m. on Friday, 11 a.m. on Saturday, and then 10:30 on Sunday, pre-church. And that's what Vanderbilt got, dude. That is a slap in the face. If I'm Tim Corbin, I'm low-key like, what the hell? You couldn't give me one night game? We're not going to play under the lights at all? There's going to be nobody at any of our games? I think that sucks. But if you've been to Arlington and you've been to that event, you know why Arkansas got the billing, because they travel. They dominate that event. And Vanderbilt fans, if you're upset about it and you think I'm making a crazy point here, pull up in Arlington and let's fight about it. Yeah. We'll have to set an alarm and get there at 6 a.m. for your game, but we can fight about it.
Yeah,
brutal, man.
Yeah, that's what you get for having the Vandy Whistler. Like, if you're going to do that stuff, people are going to get mad at you, and later in nights, people get drunk, and then they want to fight the guy. So there's really looking out for you.
By the way, we might have dueling whistlers.
Yeah, I remember you saying
might have dueling whistlers. So by the way, I want to address this publicly because I haven't yet. I didn't even on the bombastic. So it's come to my attention. Shout out to intern Cameron. His great work is coming here. It's come to my attention that the guy who was whistling at Baum-Walker Stadium is the parent of Alexander Peck, who is an incoming freshman that's actually been doing a really good job. He's been really impressive. I tweeted about him a couple times, and it's like a thing that he does. He whistles to get his son's attention. It's a heartfelt thing, all that's fine. I still remain firm in my stance that as a fan base, we have to push back against this. And that's no disrespect to the Peck family. Great kid. He's a nice-looking player. I'm sure it's a loving gesture for his father. This is not 12U travel ball. I'm sorry. This is the SEC. This is Baum-Walker Stadium. This is a freaking palace. This is where high-level baseball is played. And no disrespect. I love it. I love being a great father. I love being an involved parent. We cannot be whistling like the Vandy Whistler every out. We just cannot be doing that. That is not a thing that we can let happen at Baum-Walker Stadium. It's not because we don't love you, not because we don't love your son. We just cannot have that. I know a lot of people were very upset about that the other night. In fact, I think there was a screaming match between the family and some fans to it. And I listen, I know it sucks because it's like, you're just trying to show love for your son. I get all that, but we live in a society. Like there's 12,000 people at these games. Like we got to have some consideration for other people.
Andrew's about to get another parent to come rolling up on him and fight him. So just letting it be out there. Previous parents of players doing all that. But no, I'm with you though. I'm messing because I agree. It's like, hey, let's just understand. It's just different. It's a different animal now in the SEC, and it's you got to handle yourself accordingly. I'm with you. Okay. Also, my final one for my heavy hitter. Just want to give a shout out. My dog Rowdy turned 8 years old today. Just want to give him a happy birthday shout out. He rewarded me by pissing on my floor this morning. So we're off to a roaring start. But 8 years old to Rowdy. Happy birthday, bud. You're the best, except when you make me mad. So
did you get him anything cool? Toys?
Kind of like this massive dog treat thing that I feel like he's not gonna like because I started thinking about. I was like, this probably tastes like crap. And he's a diva. He's a princess, and he's like only eats certain foods. So, anyways, it's probably gonna fail miserably. But at least I tried. It was the effort that counted.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we'll have a few chats because we'll also get to some of the final thoughts here too. But shout out to Sharkensaw super chat. He says, "Hey, got my updated SEC power rankings that nobody asked for week 6. Number 1, Tennessee. Interesting. 2, Texas. 3, Ole Miss. 4, OU. 5, Bama. 6, Georgia. 7, A&M. 8, LSU. 9, Auburn. 10, Missouri. 11, Vanderbilt. 12, Mississippi State. 13, Florida. 14, South Carolina. 15, Arkansas. And 16, Kentucky." Arkansas, this might be the first one where I'm like, I don't know about this one.
Me too, actually.
OU has been good. They've been good. Obviously, I'm assuming this means with the quarterback healthy and all that.
Can I ask why Tennessee's won?
Yeah,
Tennessee won. I'm not even really. I don't agree with it, but I'm like, I don't want to push back too hard against it. But my thing is like, would Oklahoma on a neutral field, would they be favored against Bama, Georgia, A&M, and LSU?
I don't think so.
I wouldn't think so either, but who knows? Is Vandy too low key?
Yeah. I mean,
Auburn too high.
Yeah, I think Bama should be higher than 5. Like, dude, they went on the road and beat Georgia. Like, that's
I'd probably have Bama, Georgia. I might have Ole Miss at 1.
Yeah,
Tell me why they wouldn't be. They're 3-0 in the league.
Yeah, beat LSU.
Texas hasn't looked great. It's interesting though. No, Oklahoma's been good. I'm trying not to take into account that Mateer's out for now. Right. He might be back by the time they are not playing Kent State. So there's that. But
do they play anybody good in his absence?
It's just Kent State because they had a bye this past week. They got Kent State this week, and then they play Texas the next. So they would like to have him back for that. But yeah, Vandy. Yeah. Would y'all go? I would probably have Auburn behind Missouri and Vanderbilt.
I would agree.
It's crazy because Mississippi State, I look at it and I'm like, shit, man, they look better than 12 to me, but I don't know who you could really justify putting them over right now, even though they look improved. This is tough. It's a tough one.
It's hard to power rank, man. It really is. I want to give respect, man. It's hard to power rank, so I'm not going to push back too hard. But yeah, we're now in the time of year where we can argue a little bit.
Yeah.
Finally, because we've really been doing the thing and we appreciate it. But I think he wants more conversation about it. The last couple he's put out, we're like, oh, yeah, it's pretty good, man.
Too easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
I'm
shake
gonna
it up
take,
a little bit.
I'm gonna tell you right
Vanderbilt's
now.
disrespect on this list. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I feel like they have a better case for like top 5 than they do not in the top 10.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there's any way Texas shouldn't be number 2. Like we're sitting here. I just don't know if they're good. Like, I really don't. I know they lost to Ohio State and everything, but they've had 3 straight non-conferences against San Jose, UTEP, and Sam Houston. It's like, are they
Their
good?
defense is nasty, but Arch has got to figure it out, man.
Yeah. Well, if they go down to Florida this weekend, Florida, if they lose to Florida on the road, it's gonna be hilarious. But man, like, I think Sark, I'm not saying he needs to be fired, but I'm like, dude, that's bad if that ends up happening and you end up losing that game. Shout out to David, who's been a member also for 5 months. He says, what are Ewan's thoughts on Bobby bringing in bodies to fill some of the defensive coaching vacancies? Will there be any big names, ex-players? I mean, we know.
I think they're just filling one spot, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't have extensive thoughts on it, and that's not because I don't think it's a valuable thing. I just think you're bringing in a guy to basically implement the new message or whatever and kind of get these guys on task. You just need another adult in the room. I don't think anybody that brings in, I don't think anybody that's going to come in and really bring in this philosophy that completely changes things. You just need another adult in the room to babysit, make sure these guys are doing what the simple things we're asking them to do. I don't think there's going to be anybody that comes in and really has this super specific vision for how the defense is going to look and it's going to completely change the world. I think it's just more about bringing in a guy and, you just need more guys on your coaching staff. You just got rid of half the coaching staff. You just need some adults in the room, and I think that's what they're going out and doing, getting an adult.
Yeah. No, I've been meaning whoever Petrino wants, it's like, again, we heard him say today, he's like, he's got somebody just waiting on the approval. We're curious to see who that ends up being. And, who it could be somebody everyone's heard of, or it could be a big no name. I don't know. I really don't. But let's see. Also, David just also says, I'm convinced that there's a parasite that lives on some of our fan base's brain that causes severe stupidity. Well, I mean, that's every fan base ever known to man in major sports. Like, everybody's got them.
What they do today.
Yeah. I haven't seen anything crazy with the fans, honestly. I mean, I'm sure there are some crazy things out there, but of all the people pissing me off, Hog fans really haven't been doing that much.
Yeah, it's a good start to the week. Let's keep it that way, folks.
Although someone did tweet at me and say this is the worst baseball roster we've had since 2016, which is just the most insane take of all time. Bro, what?
Yeah, that is a bold take. Speaking of, Finch says really like seeing Keyshawn Davias. I think he's say John. I assume he's saying his mom, replying to John's tweet about him being shocked that none of the players hit the portal. The family statement equals the character, and that they knew they needed a change. In my opinion, I mean, it's good to see, but same time, it's like you got to show it. You got to show that there's no giving up and that you're all locked in and everything. Like, you got to show that. But it was good. I get it. Like, you're trying to get positive vibes, positive messages out there. Let's see. Also, hey, butternut squash. I haven't heard some butternut squash in a minute. Says, I got better odds of dating Sydney Sweeney than the Hogs going 5-2.
So this is a funny comment, of course, makes sense. It came in the discussion where we were talking about hey, if they went this, would it change? If it went that, and this is what's driving me nuts is trying to have this conversation. Every time that we say the argument where we're like, well, would it change your mind if they went 6-1? And then someone says, well, they're not going 6-1. It's like,
yeah,
obviously they're not, but that's our point, is that we don't think that this thing is going to happen. But if it did, it would change the way we view the situation. That's all we're saying. Nobody on this panel is arguing that Arkansas is about to win 5 of their next 7 games. I promise you.
Yeah. Well, you think it's more likely that Arkansas goes 0-7 or 7-0?
Way more likely to go 0-7. Infinitely more likely.
Yeah.
Without 1,000 billion% way more likely.
I disagree.
You're insane.
John, there's no way that, I'm not saying they it's impossible, but it's they would have to go on the road and beat LSU, go on the road and beat Texas, beat Missouri, beat A&M at home, beat Tennessee and Knoxville. There's a very, very close to 0.0% chance. And I think they're probably not going to go winless, but I'd say there's a 10% chance they go winless.
Listen, I am flooding myself with enthusiasm about Bobby until they get blown out by Tennessee, and it's all going to come crumbling down. But for these next week and a half, I'm going to be flying high. And I'm telling you right now, all it's going to take is him putting out a tweet or something like that, being like, it's for you 1-5, and he gets his thing to Ryan Mallett, and I'm going to be Waterworks. I'm going to be crying. I'm like, this guy is a champion, because it's just, I don't know. It's just I am excited about it. I get what you guys are saying. It's 100% true that it is so fastly majority more likely that this team's going to go 0-7 than 7-0.
When's the last time Arkansas won 7 SEC games?
2006.
Is it that long? Yeah. I would just say, like, how surprised, let me just ask y'all this. How surprised would you be if Arkansas went 0-7? Because I would be a little bit surprised, but like not that surprised, right?
I'd be surprised in the way of, just from trends, from chances, from likelihood of like playing 7 games and not winning one of them. But man, if they got blown out,
you might be underdogs in all 7 games. Is that fair? Yes.
And well, yeah, I mean, unless like, again, it's like, I hate to do a cop-out thing, but if they get blown out to Tennessee, like I keep bringing up, like 63-10, then yeah, I say it's going to be very unlikely for me to feel like they win one game. But if they beat Tennessee, then suddenly I'm like, man, they're going to be favored in a few of these games. It's just, how about this? What do you guys think the line will be against Tennessee opening up on Bet Saracen?
20-ish.
I think 20.
Around 2 to 3 touchdowns, I would say.
I had 16.5 stuck in my mind.
That's a good number.
Which, again, like, I'm not saying that they can't beat Tennessee. I'm really not even saying that. I'm just saying, like, if they lost to Tennessee, would not surprise me even in the slightest. If they lost to A&M, would not surprise me even in the slightest. If they lost to Auburn, it would surprise me more, but, again, not really, like, stun me. Same for Mississippi State, who's playing pretty good ball. Same for Texas. Same for LSU. Same for Missouri. You add it all up, that's 7 games where we would not be surprised if they lost. Whereas if they won any of those games, it would be like a pretty notable surprise. It's way more likely that 7 things that are supposed to happen than there are that Arkansas wins 7 games they are not favored in, or 6 if they're not. Maybe they'll be favored against Mississippi State, but let's just be for real here. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, but that's only fun. There's no fun in that, and trying to be real and everything. So, but no, I'm with you too, and it'll be funny to see if it did open at like 16.5 or something. Where does the line move, or does it move? Do people hammer Tennessee, or do people hammer Arkansas?
People in the chat saying 14.5. I don't know if I guess that line must be, because neither team plays a game this week, so I guess it makes sense that there's a line already.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see though. We'll see. Let's see. Brandon just says, comment on the fact that no one has hit the portal, please. We did talk about this a little bit, but
I was going to say, like, we had just finished talking about it 30 seconds before that post there. But earlier, if you just joined earlier on in the show, we talked about it for a good 10 minutes or so. So good info in there if you want to go back.
Yeah. Hunt OZK says, a new shirt idea, get jacked with Inside Arkansas with John, Andrew, and Curtis.
I'm in for this.
All right.
We can wear them to Royals games too, because people think we're talking about Caglianone.
We got to be careful about the connotation there. So maybe just eliminate the get. We just jacked.
Yeah. Because
get jacked doesn't work as phrasing.
Well, yeah.
People say get jacked as a way to like say I'm going to get strong.
Yeah,
they do. That is one reason why they might say that.
It's true. There could be some others, but that's one of the reasons. See, Heartbroken Hog says, I don't know about 2019 LSU being a fluke, even though they're a top 5 or top 3 team of all time. Yeah.
See, I agree with this. Like, I'm not even arguing that they were a fluke. I'm just saying, like, if you're looking at I was comparing the Ed Orgeron situation at LSU to the Petrino situation at Arkansas. Like, we would all sign up for that if it meant, even if we argued that Petrino won a title and it was a fluke, we would all sign up for it. I agree. Like, that wasn't a fluke, but it furthers my point that a coaching candidate and his capability can change year to year depending on the context. Because we don't look at that 2019 LSU team and say, wow, great coaching job by Ed Orgeron. We say, oh, they had Joe Brady on as the OC, Dave Aranda as the DC, the most loaded roster of all time, and they won. I think that's the point I was trying to make, is that a coach's ability, it is what it is, but like it can change given the context and the situations change. So I wasn't trying to make an argument that LSU is a fluke thing. I'm just saying, like, I was making a comparison between Arkansas and LSU situations with the interim coach taking over as head coach, whole separate thing.
Also, I like this when we were talking about the defense at Arkansas was going to run trailer park. Sark said Hogs have been running the 0-0-0, and it's been underwhelming. So
yeah, I appreciate him trying to get creative there. Throw a different wrinkle, a different look at somebody, but this wasn't it.
The triple O defense is just it was a bold strategy.
Yeah. Can't believe it didn't work out. Can't believe it. Static J just says, "Hey John, hope to see a Texas A&M game. Love to shake your hand and have a cold one. I'm sure we will have a lot to talk about then." WPS. Well, you can find me among the 76,000 Razorbacks fans standing strong as the towers of Old Main. Then we'll say what's up to each other. So it's like I'm trying to find a needle in the haystack in there as well. Man, that I'm wondering what that will look like. Say if Arkansas just loses to Tennessee by 17 points, 21 points, whatever. I'm wondering if there'll be a ton of fans there for that A&M game. I mean, I'm sure there will be, right? Surely, it'll be a good amount. Yeah.
Over 65.
Yeah.
It's at minimum it's going to be an afternoon game. Well, I guess we'll find out on Monday if it's a night game or it's not a morning game. Played enough of those. So I think it'll be a good crowd there for sure. Where's Kingsley just said hand Drew Ellis.
Yeah, he was talking about fighting Vanderbilt fans.
I like that.
Andrew.
I won't fight your beautiful wife, Kingsley. She's the only Vanderbilt fan that I will not fight at Globe Life.
The only one. Yeah, which Globe Life will be great. That's always a great event. Is it on Flow Sports again?
I would imagine so. Although I don't know that for sure. So don't quote me on that. Because I remember hearing murmurs last year that might be the last year of Flow and they might switch to something else, but I would assume. Yeah.
It looks like it's trying to look at the Shriners Classic. It's a great event. Tournament passes are $72 for adults. So if you want to check that out, but either way, we'll have some details on that. But I assume, it'll probably be on Flow Sports. Also, a couple more here too that I wanted to bring up. Phil is saying, okay, since he booked, was the alarm that went off a bit ago?
Well, it is funny because I don't know whose alarm that was, but it went off at like 1:00 on the dot. And that's when the ticket sales open for this Cincinnati exhibition. But I will just point out to Phil, it was not my alarm, but I was actively getting my tickets at 1 p.m. just like you for the Cincinnati exhibition. So
yeah. Well, I was going to say it wasn't mine, and I don't think it was Ellis's. I'm just going to call out Andrew Hutchinson because it was during a Bobby Petrino quote, and I think the phone that went off when he was recording it. Just throwing it out there. So blame Hutch for that.
I was just going to say real quick because I just saw this roll up from Dylan here. He says, "Where can we watch the Cal Presser live?" You cannot watch that live anywhere. It's not. There's no Zoom link. There's no hook up for microphones and stuff, and it's just a scrum. Scrum being media members just gather around him in a circle, and it's right before practice there. So he'll speak, and then that stuff will get uploaded everywhere afterwards.
Yeah. Yep. And Jacoda says, "Is Joey McGuire actually a possibility?" Also heard that is he really that good of a coach, or does the billionaire oil man make it look that way? We whooped him in the Liberty Bowl when he had no NIL money.
So this begs a very important question, which comes back to the Ed Orgeron thing about his success at LSU in 2019. Like, do you give him any credit whatsoever for that 2019 national championship? I don't know. We can have that conversation, but I just feel like we can do that with a lot of things. Because I was on the Discord the other day, which I've had to just I can't be on that Discord. I get in too many arguments. But someone was telling me, they were like, well, Alex Golesh, he's not a good coach. He just has a good quarterback at South Florida. And like he wouldn't be able to have that quarterback in Arkansas. And I'm like, you saying he wouldn't be able to get like a 6'3", 230 quarterback to come to Arkansas and do the same offense that he's running? You know what I mean? Like we could kind of do this game with Joey McGuire. I think it's a fair question of like, hey, is he really a good coach, or does he just have a bunch of money funding his team? My question to you would be, if he's coming to Arkansas, is he also going to have money funding his team? Because if he is, then I don't really care if he's, if it's a formula, whatever for your formula is, if I believe you can also do that at Arkansas, then why would I care? You know what I mean? Whether that's with a ton of money, whether that's with a quarterback that's got a certain skill set, whether that's with the scheme you're running or with the OC you have, like, I don't care what that formula is. If it results in wins and you can do it religiously, cool. I would not use the Liberty Bowl of last year as a gauge of anything, because neither team, I mean, Arkansas, that wasn't their actual team. Texas Tech, I think, had like 30 people. in the portal. Like they had like 8 of their actual starters play that game. So like, you can use that game as a thing for sure. And we can have, I'm not even arguing for you that Joey McGuire is a good coach. And I also don't think he's a strong possibility for what it's worth. But I think it's a very fascinating, it brings a fascinating question of like, what are the contexts that make these coaches good? And could they do that at Arkansas? And that's where I have questions about some of these guys like Summerall or Silverfield or whoever. It's like, yeah, what you're doing and having success with at this level, is it going to carry over to Arkansas? And that's the question we need to be asking about any of these head coaching candidates.
Yeah, and he's been good at Texas Tech, and I think this is the first year where they really went nuts in the portal. Like they've had money, I think especially relative to the Big 12 or whatever, but this was the year, this portal cycle where they went crazy, and they're kicking everybody's ass. Like they're winning at a high level. So I'm not going to shame the man for having a bunch of money unless he has a bunch of money in this expensive roster and he's losing football games. He hasn't been doing that. So I'll give him credit for it. But I do agree with what you're saying, Andrew, from a standpoint. I don't know if he's the guy or how exciting that will be. If they win the Big 12 and he takes them to the college football playoff or something, would that conversation change? For me, yeah, it probably would, but there's a lot of season left to be played out,
Curtis, you would change your opinion on a coach based on the success he has or doesn't have?
Absolutely, man.
Wow.
Yeah. I move the goalpost every day, buddy.
Yeah. It's amazing how that works. It's amazing how that works. Friendly reminder, though, to everybody out there that this Friday for Prime Time at the Palace, which starts at 8 p.m., we're going to be having, hold on a second, I got to read it and make sure that I do it right, because every time I don't do it right, I'm going to mess it up, and it's not going to be good for the branding of everything too. But just want to let everybody know that on Friday, we are having, I used to call it the Prime Time at the Palace something or other, but now it's the Pod at the Palace Prime Time, previewing Prime Time at the Palace. So that's going to be happening. And we're going to be live at Go Lab Red at 1214 North Garland Avenue this Friday at starting at 6 p.m. We'll do a live stream, doing a little previewing of it, the Pod at the Palace, and getting you ready for it. And they're going to have 25-cent wings while we're there. So I don't know if anybody knew this. There's like no place on earth that you can find 25-cent wing specials anymore, but Go Lab Red is doing it for Friday. So come hang out with us. We're going to be out there again, starting at 6 is when we'll do live stream, but we'll be there probably before. And then once we get done there, we'll head over and hang out and have a good time over at Prime Time at the Palace starting at 8 p.m.
I threw this out there on the Pod at the Palace this morning. I think that might be setting up future marriages or children, because my thought process for all these youngsters, if you're broke out there or whatever, here's a great first. If there's a lovely lady in your life and you're thinking, man, taking her out on the first date on Friday, I got to figure this out. I got to make sure I hit a home run here. 25-cent wings followed by Razorback basketball. And if you get a second date after that, she's the one. If that's the home run first date for her, then that she's the one. There's nothing else to be discussed.
That's right. Wings, beer, basketball. That's the best. Can't
Still
beat
my
it.
heart.
Yep. Just can't beat it. So, but yeah, it's going to be awesome. So come hang out with us. We look forward to it. It's new location there at 1214 North Garland Avenue in Fayetteville. And and it's worked out perfectly since it's a bye week, no Razorback football, but plenty of Razorback basketball to be talked about and to be discussed heading up to this weekend. I also wanted to read this from Chakotay. Says everyone show up to Goat Lab dressed as John for his birthday. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that would look like, but sure. Just wear normal clothes and you'll be John. So either way. Well, guys, any final thoughts before we roll out of here for the day?
My final thought is I just want to answer this because Finch says, Curtis, I would love for you to have taken Michelle to get the absolute cheapest meal you could find for the first date and see if she had stayed. I met Michelle for the first time at a tiki bar where they were throwing a party to which I had a free extra wristband for entry to get into. So it's quite literally exactly what I did. And it worked out. She stayed. So
hey, listen, there's some girls out there that they enjoy that type of thing. In fact, that's impressing to them. Don't start there unless you know or have an idea, but nothing wrong with some of the girls out there just enjoying some cheap food, cheap beer, and good casual life. So,
well, my final thought, one, I wanted to address Farmer Don, who says he's in Ohio. Can you watch the red-white game? The good news is yes. The bad news is That is not what this is Friday night. So you will be able to watch the Red White game. They'll stream it on SEC Network Plus, but that is not what it is Friday that we are referencing. So in this, you will not be able to watch. But my final thoughts outside of that are stay loyal, stay hungry, stay curious, and stay faithful, Razorback fans.
Man, everybody's coming up with their own tagline. You got Dudley with his. I got Andrew with his too. It's like we're gonna have to start everyone having our own sign-offs. But either way, now my final thoughts are: appreciate all of you. Again, we know it's a crazy time, but we're always going to have all the coverage for everything Razorbacks, whether it's basketball, baseball, football, coaching searches, the latest, everything right here at Inside Arkansas. So be sure to subscribe to us. Find our audio podcast wherever podcasts are found, and keep up to date on recruiting with Inside Arkansas Recruiting. All that great stuff. So be sure to tap in with us each and every day right here at Inside Arkansas. And that'll do it for us today. For Andrew Ellis, as well as Curtis Wilkerson and intern Cameron, I'm John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel tomorrow at noon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you then.